Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am your host, Jay Just Jay, your resident troublemaker, your resident culture warrior. I hope you are all doing well as we inch ever closer to that wonderful, marvelous time we call the weekend. I hope you got plans, and I hope you have a good time. And, everybody needs to enjoy the weekend. All right, so let's get right into it. This is an interesting article. It caught my attention, and I'll explain why after. And this is coming from the good folks over at StarterFacts, and it says Lord of the Rings basically ruined it all for fans by deleting this scene. When the big bad is finally defeated, you would expect the movie to allow you to be there to witness the villain's demise, right? Saruman was one of the most prominent villains of the Lord of the Rings saga, but Peter Jackson's final Lord of the Rings film, Return of the King, left his story feeling incomplete due to the controversial decision to completely remove his death scene from the final cut. As portrayed on screen by the late Christopher Lee, Saruman was a menace to the Fellowship of the Ring all along, only to quietly dissolve at some point in the third movie, with his death scene making it into the extended cut, but never into the theatrical cut. To this day, fans just don't understand why. Of course, it's impossible to cram everything into a movie, even a Lord of the Rings movie that can run up to 3 hours and still be loved by fans. But removing a scene so important to the story felt like a bizarre move to pretty much everyone in the fandom, with fans calling it one of the most baffling editing decisions imaginable, unquote. The fact that the extended cut of the third film even included a Saruman death scene raised many eyebrows, as many fans actually believed that he had been captured and subdued, only to casually find out that one of Middle-earth's greatest threats had actually died. Fans are not the only ones upset by Peter Jackson's controversial editing decision. Lee himself was outraged when he found out that the theatrical cut never included Saruman's death scene, and it was reportedly the reason he never even attended the premiere. However, after backlash from the actor and the fandom, Jackson eventually admitted that the decision to cut the scene was a mistake and added it back in the extended cut. Still, the theatrical cut is not enough for fans without the essential scene. So many people decided not to watch it at all, opting instead for the extended edition. And this is Luis Everett writing that. I mean, Saruman being dead. If you thought that just somehow, like in the movies, that he just sort of disappears in the third act, you clearly weren't paying attention and didn't read the books. If you read the books, you know exactly what happens to Saruman. You know how he dies, when he dies, and you know that it happens during the scouring of the Shire, right? So if you went into the movies and you had read the book, then this was nothing new to you, right? You knew that even if you didn't see it, you knew how it played out, right? The only question would be whether or not we would see it, right? So the fact that there were people that didn't know, that thought, somehow he might have survived, just shows, people who don't know Tolkien, I guess. So yeah, like I said, I don't know what else to say about that. In terms of it, the article itself, one of the things I found funny, and you'll see why, because with the next video that comes out after this one, it's sort of like you're starting to see, and I mentioned this earlier, you're going to start to see like Peter Jackson and his trilogy of films, and ostensibly the Hobbit trilogy of films as well, or whatever. They're going to start taking more and more pot shots at them. And the reason why they're going to take more and more pot shots at them is because, and I've said this before, in order to get Rings of Power to have any sort of legitimacy, you have to bring down Peter Jackson's films. And the reason why is because if Peter Jackson's films are held up as this is how you adapt a novel, this is the proper adaptation of Tolkien and stuff like that, well, by comparison, Rings of Power is always going to look like a shitty show. Right? So what they need to do is start taking Peter Jackson and his adaptations down a notch, right? Or start reinforcing the idea that, Tolkien's lore is something that's flexible and should be played with, right? These are the two routes that you're going to see them go. And as we get closer to season 2 of The Rings of Power coming out, you're going to see more and more of it, right? You're going to start to see more articles like this where they sort of criticize and second guess, Peter Jackson's decision from over 20 years ago. And it didn't ruin it for anybody. Like I said, if you had read the books, you knew exactly what to expect from Saruman. Okay. If anything, his death scene, okay, is changed. His death scene is not how it plays out in the books. And so these same people that are constantly criticizing, saying, oh, well, it's okay for Rings of Power to deviate from what Tolkien wrote because Peter Jackson deviated from what Tolkien wrote, and so therefore it's okay. It's interesting that in this instance, in order to make the argument against Peter Jackson and his editing decisions, they have to ignore the fact that he did something that they are saying should be done, right? And that is he changed a plot line for a particular character. And they're like, no, you had to see it, otherwise you wouldn't know. And it's like, no, you didn't. If you read the books, you didn't have to see it. If you read the books and you did see it, you were like, that's not how it plays out in the books. But I digress. Anyway, I just wanted to share this with you guys because I thought it was interesting. Like I said, you're going to start to see more and more of this where Peter Jackson gets second-guessed. The adaptations, his films adaptations of Tolkien get second-guessed. You're going to see a lot of them pointing out where he went away from the novel and he changed things. We've already seen it with the Arwen Glorfindel thing. You're going to see a lot more and more articles like that come out. And at the same time, you're going to see more and more articles saying like, oh yeah, well, this is what we can expect from season 2 and blah, blah, blah. It's going to be so good. And, and Tolkien wrote this, but, he really, was meaning this, and so that's what we can expect from the show. And you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of playing fast and loose with what's acceptable to change, what's not acceptable to change, what Tolkien actually meant, how Tolkien should be interpreted, Peter Jackson's, criticizing Peter Jackson for editing decisions he made, almost 30 years ago, and sort of taking his adaptations down a notch because, again, Rings of Power looks like crap when you compare it to Peter Jackson's films from over 20 years ago, okay? And they know this, and that's why it's going to be an orchestrated plan of attack, right? Again, nothing in the media is random, okay? These people don't just write random stories like this because on a whim, right? There's reasons behind it. So yeah, I just thought this was an interesting one because I just, basically criticizing the guy for he had to cut down his film. They told him the film cannot be more than 2.5 hours long, and so he had an hour and a half's worth of stuff that he had to cut out of each and every film. So and so now here we are 20 years later when we need to build up the Amazon show. We're going to go back and criticize that. Never heard a peep from any of these people before about this, but all of a sudden now it's a big thing and it's ruining it for all fans. Okay, whatever you say, Luis. Or Lois. Anyway, yeah, that's all I got for right now. I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I thought it was interesting in that sort of like, really? You had nothing better to do? Sort of way. Anyway, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Should we be gearing up for more nonsense like this, where we see Tolkien be dragged down, we see Peter Jackson be dragged down, his films are dragged down, what Tolkien's intentions were is, apparently whatever you decide his intentions were, because he's not around to tell you that you're wrong, but, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you gearing up for that onslaught of nonsensical bullshit like I am? Because I know it's coming, and I'll be ready for it. Anyway, I will expect to see your comments down in the comment section below. Remember, if you like the video, then like the video. If you want to share the video, by all means do so. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and it helps us get more eyes on the channel. Again, I'm trying to hit 1,000 by the summer. Right? That was the thing. Try to hit 1,000 subscribers by the summer. It's a number. It's there. So that would be great if we could do that. We're moving up. We're moving in the right direction, constantly moving up. getting closer and closer. So yeah, if we could hit 1,000 subscribers by the summer, that would be awesome. And the way to do that is for you guys to get the word out. Tell people, hey, come hang out with the army of beautiful badasses. On the Cutter One channel show. Because we always have a good time. And if you haven't subscribed, I would hope that you would consider subscribing and joining the army of beautiful badasses. We're a fun bunch. We like our Tolkien. We like our fantasy. We like talking crap about it. And yeah, I think that'd be great. And remember, folks, I just put in the community tabs yesterday. I started a Discord. So now not only because I see you guys in the comments, and I love you guys for all your commentary. You guys are knowledgeable. It's well thought out. It's well presented arguments and opinions, and everybody. It's great, and everybody's keeping it respectful and keeping it above board, and I love that. But I do know that sometimes it's hard because some of you guys, you really get in depth, and you guys will write a 4 or 5 paragraph dissertation, right, on a particular something. And so I started the Discord because I figured this way now we can all hop in there. You don't have to worry about this is taking a lot of space in the comment section for a video. It's no, dude, write a freaking novel of an answer if that's what you feel like doing. That's why I have the Discord. I'm not putting anything behind paywalls or anything like that. I just figured I'd create a space for us to get together and discuss Tolkien and fantasy and Dungeons and Dragons and Dragonlance and Elder Scrolls and writing and high fantasy and world building and all that fun stuff that we all tend to be into. So if you haven't been there yet, go to the community tab here on the channel. You'll see it. It's the most recent post I put in there from yesterday, and it has the link to the Discord, so you can join up in the Discord and join in the conversation. Start a conversation. I'm gonna try and be checking it regularly, at least once a day, because between work and making videos and trying to do this 3D printing thing, it takes a lot of time, but I will definitely at least try to hit up the Discord once a day so I can at least follow what's going on with everybody. So anyway, I created that. So if you are a subscriber, thank you as always from the bottom of my heart for joining in on the fun. And let's grow this army of beautiful badasses. So with that, I'm going to head out. That'll do it for this video. And remember, be cool, be awesome, be safe, but more importantly, stay more dorkish. Until the next time, peace.